Hey ladies, this video is for soon-to-be mamas who have not experienced postpartum life yet and who are maybe a little bit anxious of what it might bring. And so this video is to share with you guys ways that you can kind of prepare for it, as well as what to kind of expect in just the first few weeks after having your baby. So when you're at the hospital and you're getting ready to leave, one of the things that you want to do in order to prepare for life at home being postpartum is to take whatever the hospital will give you. So one of the things they'll give you are the mesh underwear. I had bought my own underwear to wear at the hospital. I was like, oh, that'll probably be more comfortable and I'll wear it home and, you know, wear it in those first few weeks. But I tried on the mesh underwear and they were like so much more comfortable. Like there's no like elastic that's going to be sticking into your sides, so it's like not restrictive, because you definitely want as much comfort down there as possible. And also they're disposable, which is super nice because you are still bleeding for the first like several weeks, and so you don't really want to be getting your underwear dirty. So it's really nice that they're, first of all and most importantly, super comfortable, but also they're disposable, so once they get dirty you just toss them. The second thing that you'll want to get are the postpartum pads. They're like diapers basically, but they are so nice because they're really thick and they're really long, and so they just like go from one end to the other, and it catches everything. And so yeah, ask for those. Don't just like walk out of the hospital with one or two, like ask for a bunch. They gave me like a whole pack of them, and they were really like a lifesaver. You'll definitely want to take home a spray bottle. So they give you one so that you can like be spraying down there with like water as you're going pee, or to flush out any of the blood that's still coming out. Like I said, you're going to be bleeding for like 3 weeks, sometimes less, sometimes more. So that really just helps with allowing you to be more comfortable as you're going to the bathroom, but also to make sure that you're keeping yourself really clean down there. The next thing is ice packs. So they gave me ones that you could just break and they would get cold, and I would put them down there and then I could toss them. So they're super, super nice, and they, like I said, will just bring a lot more comfort, and you'll definitely want to bring those home. They'll also give you stool softener, and that is a must-have to take home. It is like so scary to go poop after you've given birth. Like, I don't know what it is, like it's different holes, but it is still like really, really scary. So stool softeners really help, also because a lot of times you're constipated after giving birth. Sometimes it's because of like the epidural or the other medications that you're on, or it's just like hormonal. So stool softeners are really great because, first of all, it's like it brings peace of mind, like okay, like it's not gonna hurt as bad, but also it's helpful if you are constipated, and it helps prevent hemorrhoids as well. Last thing that I took home from the hospital that I really loved and didn't even know about beforehand, they're like Miracle nipple gel shields, and you just like put them on. They're like reusable. They have like this gel on them, and you put them on your nipple, and seriously, like for the first weeks being postpartum and breastfeeding, like for the first time, they were like such a relief to use. Like I use the lanolin, I use nipple butter, and they helped a ton, but like sometimes like still it was uncomfortable and raw, and I would put those on and leave them on between feedings, and it just like made a world of difference. So they're just like round gel pads. They're like also like the Lansinoh gel pads that you can buy. So you can buy them, but get them from the hospital. They'll give them to you for free. Definitely take those home with you. The next thing to be aware of is just the bleeding. So of course you're going to be bleeding after you give birth. Don't be scared of that. It's your body getting rid of all that excess blood. You'll probably be bleeding around 3 weeks after you give birth. That's how long I bled, and that's typically the time frame for women to be bleeding. You want to be mindful of the like consistency that's coming out. So like clots are pretty normal, like they can even get pretty big, and you can even have like gushes of blood. But what my doctor told me was that like big clots and like gushes of blood together for like a long period of time are dangerous and are things to be like looking out for. So of course, like ask your doctor about that before you leave the hospital, but that's what my doctor told me to be just like watching. And so bleeding is normal. Just if you have any questions, talk to your doctor or call an advice nurse if you're home to explain it to them. But yeah, bleeding is very normal, so don't be too frightened by it. So along with everything that's going on in your postpartum body, you're also breastfeeding. And so that is a part of your postpartum journey. And so breastfeeding can be kind of a challenge. For me, I feel like my daughter did everything right and it was still a challenge, especially for new moms, because our boobs aren't used to that like feeding all the time. And so yeah, make sure that you have like the nipple butters and like the creams that you can put on when you are breastfeeding. One of the things I did not know was going to happen, and so I was like, what's going on, was that when you're breastfeeding, your body will like naturally contract, and like it's just helping your uterus shrink down, but you'll usually get more blood flow while you're breastfeeding, and it like hurts, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm having a contraction like while I'm like every time I'm breastfeeding, like it's so weird. But that's totally normal. It's just your body's reaction to hormones being released that are going to help your uterus shrink down to its original size. So contractions while you're breastfeeding are something that are totally normal, but definitely something that I wish I had known and something that you can be aware of. Also, in the first few weeks of being postpartum, your milk is still coming in, and I didn't know how like painful that was. So anytime my milk would come in, like it was around the time I would feed her or it was while I was nursing my daughter, it would just be like all of a sudden like this super like tight, like uncomfortable feeling in my boobs. Totally normal. It's just your milk dropping and, you know, like coming into your breast so that your baby can feed. But yeah, something I didn't really know about. The last thing that I just want to throw in there about breastfeeding is that it shouldn't be super painful. For me, it was uncomfortable and like painful to an extent just because her mouth is small, and so just the latch was fine, but it was just like hard for her to like get enough of my boob so that it wasn't painful for me. But it was never like, I was never bleeding. I never got like cracked nipples or anything. And if you are experiencing a lot of pain, that's probably because your baby has an incorrect latch. And so you'll want to talk to your lactation specialist about that. But yeah, have your lactation specialist or consultant on like their number on hand so that you can call them whenever you need to. Another thing that like hit me so hard with the first few weeks of being postpartum were the hormones. And I am like not a big crier. And seriously, in the first few weeks and days like of being postpartum, I cried all the time. I cried when she cried. I cried like in the car. I cried like over everything. Like, and it's normal. Like your hormones are regulating. Like it's okay to feel emotional and overwhelmed. Like expect that to happen and don't be afraid of it. And kind of just be like okay, this is gonna happen, and embrace those hormones. So in the first few weeks of postpartum, especially for new moms, you are going to reach a new level of exhaustion that you probably have never felt before. So you've just done this like incredible thing. You've worked super hard to get this baby out, but it's not like you can go home and like get 8 hours of sleep, you know, like you go home and you've done this like incredibly exhaustive work, and then you have to wake up every 3 hours throughout the night to feed your baby, and so it can be like really, really exhausting, especially if you've never known like this kind of lifestyle before. I know for me, I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never been more tired in my life. But also like don't hear that and be discouraged, because it gets so much better. Like I'm 7 weeks postpartum with her, and she's like gotten into such a better routine. She, you know, sleeps better at night. She's not waking up as often to eat. And so it gets better, and also you get used to the tiredness. And so like, yes, I'm waking up with her at night, but also like I'm more used to doing that. And so your body does adjust and it does get a lot better. But yeah, give yourself, especially in the first couple weeks of postpartum, give yourself time to rest. So really, like, I know you've heard this before, but sleep when the baby sleeps, because you really need it in order for your body to do the healing that it needs to heal, and also for if you are breastfeeding, in order for, you know, good production to be established. The last thing to expect and anticipate in your first few weeks of postpartum is all the love that you are going to feel. It is like the most amazing experience to have this new little baby with you at home. It's just like this new like life that you're beginning, and it really is so special. And so like, it is tiring. There are so many changes going on in your body, but just like soak up all those moments, because I'm looking back at, you know, 7 weeks ago, and I like miss those like very, very first newborn days. And so while it is tiring, just really like embrace those moments with your new little love, because it's so, so special. So those are some things that I wish I had known before I had kind of entered this postpartum journey. So I hope that these things that I have given you will help you if you're either in the middle of it or you are about to experience postpartum life. But yeah, if you have any other tips or questions or suggestions, whatever it may be, personal stories, comment them below. We would love to read what they are. Thanks for listening to this one, and we will see you next time.